baby daddies.
Okay, people. This is October 26th, and I think this explains my dream. Can you hear this?
All the way up.
Because you have them just that much. I don't like white people either, but I'm not gonna drag them in on some bullshit that the black community has put together.
And I just said that Dominican girl, Jamie Azar, Bobby, all of them was fucking right. They was right. They was right the whole time. Like these bitches is weird.
Now I'm British Columbia, Canada. Let's remember this.
Everybody is getting involved.
I'm wondering who else is online.
Tosha K gonna bring
You hear this? Right? And I'm the one sitting with a dead daughter. Huh? Right?
It already came on live.
I'm the one sitting with the dead daughter.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna let Bama jump in. Bama, you got a second, mamas? Or are you in a rush?
I'm sure there's other people in here talking.
When they talked about it, and she got all these
Bama girl in the motherfucking building.
like that girl did.
Who the hell is talking? Can you hear this?
Let me tell you,
One of those
me and Bama don't send each other off.
We don't even heard Rita say the shit.
We knew this was bullshit. Shout out to Bama girl. Hey, Bama girl. And shout out to you too, Lyric, with coming, baby.
That's where she Right. See, let me finish doing what you're doing. We appreciate you in every way possible.
Okay. Let me get myself together.
Thank you for keeping me informed.
Are we not on the right side of the coin?
Missy,
I don't know no other team. I need to stay on the winning team. And let me tell everybody that got mad, just in case you unsubscribe, I want you to keep it like that. Because clearly you can't do the truth. And if the truth made you unsubscribe, now that you know the truth, don't bring your ass back. We don't need you.
Yes.
What you got to do?
And I heard her
Khadijah don't need you, bitch.
Because
now,
I heard her say
girl,
the thought came across my head.
I didn't even know what was going on.
So why,
you had called me talking about.
You know where
she texted me talking about I'm pissed.
You went to
Let's go live. I said, well, what the hell going on?
Why you ain't go to that person?
You ain't been on YouTube this morning? No.
That ain't make sense.
Girl, this is a whole shit show.
You got police involved. And now it makes sense as to why she didn't want to call the FBI.
But I just couldn't believe, girl, listen.
Yesterday to call the FBI. People were saying you need to call the FBI.
What we're not going to do is act like we didn't see the crackhead production coming on.
FBI.
Production, baby.
I know what
baby,
I'm
let me tell you something.
No. I don't need nobody to help me take care of this. I'm not calling the FBI. Did she?
And you know what? I'm so confused right now. I just can't believe everybody want to say about pray for this, pray for that. God don't deal in confusion. Okay, I'm so confused right now. It seems like to me some things we all should have clarity.
Just to say, I did believe crazy. Everybody.
Look, baby,
just
I've been tracking. I
she's still somebody else.
I don't fight.
I had to kind of suppress my anger. And my mother bear came out.
It was too much history.
There was never a publicity.
Like I said, everything else has been stopped. Now I gotta adjust. And I just couldn't. I couldn't make that.
So now, what you think as far as Lala is concerned? What do you think?
I don't know who got their days mixed up.
Do you think she was in on it?
On Wednesday.
I know for a fact.
And I know people ain't gonna like me, but I don't care. The girl is alive and well, so I'm gonna tell the truth.
Not with that boy.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think because look how fast she showed up.
And I know for a fact that she's not the only person that may have thought.
And I'm the one with the dead daughter.
Where did they find her at? Who got the word to Lala? How did Lala get to Rita that fast? Did anybody ask
with the cover up?
Lala get to Rita that fast? How did she get there? If she didn't have a card, if she didn't have her phone, how did she get to Rita that fast?
I don't know if that part is true.
Where they found her?
And then not only that,
I heard about
her own channel.
And then I heard that Bill was supposed to have been in love with her, which I don't believe that at all.
That's what Q just told me. She said she went live crying and carrying on.
But the
talking
dead
about
one,
she was
the
at a
dead one
friend's
could be
house,
right. That one could
and
be
then
right.
talking
But then
about
I
she didn't
heard
want to call her
she was
grandmother
also
because
trying to
she
get
thought that
money
her
to
grandmother
move.
and Rita
It's
was
a lot.
together. Okay, hold it,
It's a
hold
lot
it.
of shit. It's a lot of
Question.
shit. It's some
So
This
you
is
knew
like
what's
10
going on
o'clock
down
in the
here.
morning,
underhanding shit.
and
Oh, damn.
I was
Oh,
working,
damn.
right?
Yeah.
And for the
Yesterday, you
last
seen that?
month, you
Oh,
have been
okay.
I
putting
passed out on the
out here
See,
couch.
false
clarity.
allegations on
Yeah,
people.
she knew.
I
Doctor
got up at like
motherfuckers.
3 in the
Okay.
Making
morning,
people lives a living hell for you
and
to
I
turn
was
around
on,
and make
you
it
know,
For no 2 nights in a
So
row.
she knew everything that was
Rita's
going on down
page
here with
because
the
she was
flyers
worried
and
for
all
her
that.
daughter,
Which
which is understandable.
Don't lie.
We
Any
was lying
evidence
with her, and she said out of her
And then I
own
went
mouth,
back to sleep
her
at
grandma
much
knew,
evidence.
and
I
then
don't know,
she
6,
was around
6:30
But I'll
the
deal
whole
with
time.
for another
And
hour,
then every
a
time
couple
she gets
hours.
ready to blame somebody, it
Turn on my
translates
computer.
well.
respect of the
I'm
mother.
gonna
This
go
is what
back
I
and
have
listen
now.
to it. But it sounds like
I want
Lala
to
is
see
saying,
you in a minute.
yeah, now grandma, you knew where I was,
the law.
but mama, you doing the most.
If they had
Both of y'all doing the
evidence
most.
of this being a part of this
And then I got a message saying that they said I sent the ransom text. Really?
What? Fucking we
Really?
I couldn't even think straight.
Mama told
Yeah,
y'all
she said she been talking to her grandma up until Friday, and her grandma knew where she
but I didn't
was.
even
When
get
did
a
they pop out
chance
with this
to
convoluted ass story? Was it Saturday?
because the phone
how much
So they knew the
to
night before. It wasn't no, I had talked to Lala in 3 days. They had talked to her the day before.
But
So them
the
hoes
thing
be
is, this is a brand
lying.
new phone. It's a new
Yeah, so listen, here's the
when I say
thing.
I'm pissed,
I sent the ransom text.
My
Get
thing
me
is
locked
this:
up.
we
Prove it. Call the
refurbishing
FBI.
phones.
You whores
Because
blame
this phone
CSI
shit,
from
it
the
won't
shop
allow
because I'm on to you bitches.
I'm
Public
fucking
service
wrong.
announcement.
You know what I mean? It
Any
just
one of you
completely
lying
won't let you
content
download
creators
this
come out
phone.
here trying to scam
We
these
got the
people,
phone.
lying on
I'm
your
happy
kids,
that
lying on your
that
spouse, whatever you trying to do. You better
And I
believe
do
it's a
not
hoe in
believe-
Chicago
Let me
that
also say
God
this.
gonna show the truth
I
to.
do not
It's a
believe-
queen in Bama or wherever Bama at. It's a queen in Bama that know the truth. There's a king around there in Baltimore
Yeah, I
that can see
said
the
that.
F-ish
I
too.
said it. I've been making sure I give y'all shout out.
Sean
I
Bradley.
have been giving
Shout out
y'all
to
shout
Sean
out
Bradley.
all morning because y'all
The
said it.
hell? So if I sent the ransom, if I sent the ransom, please,
I couldn't remember your name.
please.
So I was like, I remember the
Y'all
Dominican
crazy
Revenge,
as hell.
and I remember somebody else. I couldn't remember your name.
Thank you.
I couldn't remember
These
your
hoes
name.
could never. Thank you.
Okay. I have to get ready to go outside, people. So, I don't know. Now we know where those voices came from. That voice. That dream. Okay? Because these women that you just heard, they're all off in left field, and I'm still standing in right field by myself with a dead daughter that got no justice. And because ShaMay didn't get no justice, that continues to put thousands of women, thousands of men, thousands of teenagers, okay, at risk to have what happened to ShaMay happen to them, okay? Because ShaMay never got no justice. There's nothing in there to change that inner wheel that's grinding in the background, where if somebody goes missing in the here and now, you go into automatic panic mode, right? Because of the history of the numbers of individuals going missing in the United States of America, with those numbers not letting up. So, the mother in this situation had every right to do what she did, right? In terms of the severity around having a missing daughter, right? And then, of course, other individuals are jumping on, wanting to offer moral support or whatever, right? And then for it just to blow up because the daughter herself was irresponsible to the point where she didn't inform somebody where she was and that she was safe and that she just wanted to be left alone. I mean, it was a simple phone call. She could have told her friends. If she didn't want to tell her grandmother, she could have had the neighbor go tell the grandmother. Who knows? I don't know. I just know that if it would have been my daughter that pulled a stunt like that, right, I'd be upset to find out that she was just acting like she was 14, right? I could see a 14-year-old just not coming home. But when a young woman is like 21, 20, and they're working and they're, you know, they're conservative, like, you know, ShaMay. This girl made me think of ShaMay. She dressed conservatively. You know, her demure was somewhat conservative, right? She working. She registered for nursing. She's going to go to school. You know, she's looking after her grandma, right? Living with grandma, you know, trying to stay on the right path, you know, doing YouTube, Instagram, whatever young people do these days, and then being stalked online, right? Through just the bullshit of, I don't know, cuckoos in society, or through those gang stalkers that are predatory in nature, you know, because ShaMay was doing those little memes and stuff, you know, and she was doing really good, and she wanted to build up a following and make money on Facebook, and you go on her Instagram down into her page, right? You'll see those little things, but then somebody hijacked her identity. I have a pretty good idea of who it was. Same individual who stole her phone. Joanne? More like the sister, right? Because of jealousy and stalking ShaMay before ShaMay even knew about it. So she had to shut down everything. She put everything on private because that individual was going around making fake ShaMay accounts, was putting in applications for credit cards. ShaMay had to sign up with the credit bureau to get monthly reports to try and catch this individual who was doing this. Okay? I think this young woman that disappeared for a few days might be struggling with that same issue. And because she doesn't have an open communication with her mother, I mean, obviously there's issues going on there with grandma, right? Not, right? You know, grandma is religious and, you know, wants to keep her on the straight and narrow, or this young woman just, you know, doesn't, you know, she wants to be on her own, right? Lots of young people want to be on their own, have their own apartments, but they're finding that they have to live at home. And if not at home, then at a relative's house. And with that comes rules that they don't necessarily like. So, you know, I mean, what she did was ultimately irresponsible in light of the numbers of individuals literally disappearing and to never be heard from again, in light of illegal organ harvesting in the United States of America and Canada is real, in light of African American women, and right, namely, like in terms of proportion to the rest of society, are targeted and disappear, right? More often than a Caucasian or an Asian or something like that, right? I mean, for the people that got involved based around that, they had every right to do that because our police are not protecting communities in the manner that they should be, right? But then on the other hand, the young people themselves, they have to be respectful and keep that in mind, that their elders, I guess you could say, right? You know, we need to know that you're safe, right? Now, maybe this character is unusual for this young woman because there's not too many places for her to go. Like, I'll use myself, for example. Okay? And you know what? I'm not even going to take you out to the X Club today because we know I have to work out there soon enough, right? I mean, I may or may not. I think I'm going to upload this, right? I'm going to say what I have to say, see if these women are still talking. Actually, I closed my browsers, so I should open up my browsers just to see if they're still talking. Okay? And I'll put them all on at the same time so you can hear what's going on in my fucking head. And it's no wonder why I'm being woke up by voices, right? But, like, I'm going to use Tisha, for example. Okay, now this is no disrespect to Tisha. This is not giving Julian's sister ammunition. Oh, New Nations Unity beefing with Tisha. No, I'm a parent. Tisha's my daughter. Every now and then, even at age 21, we have parent-teen conflict. Or there's a lot of stressors that are going on in our lives. Andre gets illegally, wrongfully apprehended, right? Uncle John gets medically kidnapped, right? Ciera falls off being sober for 3 years and gets into diehard addiction, right? Then ShaMay gets murdered, right? I mean, there's a few other things in there. And then we find out that Amari, right, after ShaMay's died, is like severely 100% injured for life, where he can't walk, can't sit by himself, right? Will never really talk like us, can't really feed himself, can't change himself, right? Can't do a lot of things, people, and never will. And he's just going to get bigger and heavier, which requires more equipment, more, you know, more everything. As I'm getting older, right, my health is deteriorating, and, you know, Tisha is basically left on her own without her sisters. She lost 2 sisters in 2 years, but she lost Ciera before that time. So you throw in all those dynamics over a period of years, that dysfunction starts to attach itself to the DNA of the human being. Okay? This is documented facts. And this is why poverty is manufactured. Okay? This is by design. And this is where these women, they're still talking. I see 2 of them talking in here. This is where these women need to rise above what's been put in front of them. Okay? Because there's numbers. They can rise together, where I wallow and stay stagnant. Okay? Because the poverty out here is selective. And being that my government is bringing in a whole bunch of rich immigrants from all these different countries, that isolates me even more. Because then comes in that classism that divides into that 2-tiered society. Okay. So anyway, with the stressors in our lives, right? I'm going into my history. I'm trying to bring up these women. with the stressors, yeah, they're still all online, all 3 of them. Okay, if I just hold on. If I was to turn on my, and I'm not making fun of them. I'm just pointing this out. Now, could you imagine if they were all talking on the same page for change?
You're not committed.
Yeah, right now, like she's trying to do that.
But see, that could also be part of the scheme. That could be part of the scheme. If we get you admitted, then we could say all of it was true, because Rita is not smart. She's not smart, so she's trying to cover herself, and the best way she know how to do it right now is to say, the best way she know how to do it right now is to say my daughter crazy. That's what's all this about, is her. And if she's not in her right mind, then you can't believe nothing she's saying. Don't believe her when she said she talked to my mother Friday. Don't believe her when she said where she was. You see where I'm going with that? Right.
Now, you see, none of these women have lost a daughter, okay? With it still pending in terms of justice for ShaMay. Okay? And they're all, you know, just whatever. So anyway, back to Tisha. So when I, you know, with all these stressors that have been going on, that have influenced the family, okay? You know, like Tisha says, birdies leave the nest, Mom. Right? I didn't sign up to look after you and Amari and Andre for the rest of my life. And when I haven't even left home yet. And she has a point. That's a big burden. And she's not even, her brain isn't fully even developed yet. The brain doesn't get fully developed until age 25, at least. Okay? Never mind when it's under trauma with all this cortisone going on. And when it's repetitive, Uncle John, Andre, Ciera, ShaMay, Amari, right? You understand? And then other little things in there that influence that bombardment of cortisone just going nuts. Okay? You know what? It influences you in the end. Okay? So, young people just want to sometimes disconnect. So the difference between Tisha and I getting into that parent-teen conflict, I guess you could... When she started on me the other day, I reminded her that it was nothing more than parent-teen conflict. I said, oh, here we go again with parent-teen conflict. As soon as I said that, she kind of calmed down because she's not a teenager anymore, people. But the stress of the gang stalking from Julian's sister, the ongoing gang stalking of Julian's sister and her friends, right? And just with the, we don't know what the future holds, right? We just don't know, you know, in terms of, having it not so hard to look after Amari long term when you have to move him in a hoist. You're not simply going to be able to pick him up and put him in his wheelchair or whatever it may be. It's going to take 2 or more people to do that, if not having to use a hoist with 2 or 3 people. Okay? So when Tisha goes into panic mode, thinking, oh, Mom's getting old, you know, right? And, you know, I'm going to have to look after Mom and this and Andre and Amari and I don't have the proper space and, you know, and she just wants to be free, fly the nest, build her own life, which is reasonable, right? She wants to move out. I'm not holding her back. I said, just, you know, let me ride for the winter because the hydros are high, right? And if you really want to go, then yeah, you come spring, whenever. If you just give Uncle Mercane, my son, right? Just give Mercane, your brother, enough time because he's going to look for somebody to rent that other room. Not holding you back. If that's really what you want to do, that's what mothers do. We have to let our children go even though we need them. Right? You know, sometimes I sit here and I think, oh my God, you know, I'm going to be all by myself because I've lost so much, right, in terms of children. And in my mind, I'm just like, well, you're just going to hang in there until the bitter end and you just can't do it no more. And I haven't gotten to that point yet, people, so I don't worry about that, right? So I can understand the frustration around what's going on with these individuals, right? But at the end of the day, you know, that young person needs to take some responsibility for being irresponsible, right? In light of the problems in communities where people are disappearing and that kind of stuff. If the grandmother is too stifling and too religious and too demanding in terms of wanting her granddaughter to be a prude, right? Let's just say it like that. I don't know. Or if she's over worried, you know, this is where the family themselves just need to bond and connect. So, anyway, I'm not going to dwell on this. I can't. Right? I made myself, I don't know. I'm just happy this girl is alive. She made me think of ShaMay. She kind of looked like ShaMay. She kind of walked like ShaMay. She had the same aspirations as ShaMay. You know, she was working. She was making plans to go to school. Right? ShaMay was 12 days of going to college. Right? Before she was murdered. So I don't take this shit lightly. And I don't know what any of these individuals hope to accomplish over the next month with them dissecting everything when in fact, you know, some of it is that parent-teen conflict, whether it's with the grandmother or whether it's with the mother, right? Where the young person, from what I can tell, doesn't really have anybody to connect with at this point. She has no sisters, older sisters, you know, I don't think she has an older brother, right? So that makes it a little harder for her to make that transition because, oh yeah, the point is, if I get into an argument with Tisha, this is what I was trying to say before I go, right? And I'm like, get out of here, I'm done, shoot, you know, whatever. And Tisha fucks off, okay? And I don't hear from her for a few days. Like, I don't get all panicky. I don't, because I kind of know where she is. And if she wasn't there, or anywhere near there, I'm sure I'd be getting phone calls. Everybody would be calling me up, asking where Tisha is. Right? So if I don't hear from Tisha for a few days, whatever it is, I don't get all panicky. Although I have asked Tisha if Alex would, I have asked Tisha this. I said, Tisha, do you think Alex would kill you? After what happened to ShaMay, I asked Tisha, do you think Alex would get revengeful for whatever reason and try and kill you? Use fentanyl to kill you? Do you see how that shit gets in your DNA? And she goes, no, Mom. No. Honestly, I don't think Alex would. But after what happened to ShaMay, I'm suspicious of anybody these days when it comes to motives. Right? But then she asks me, Mom, if something happened to me and she died, and she asked me this after ShaMay, right? Died? Would you try and take Alea May, my little granddaughter, away from Alex? And I said, well, no, of course not, because I have no reason to. The only thing that I would do is be there for him. If he needed me to watch her, I'd watch her. But outside of that, no, I wouldn't interfere, because I don't see Alex as threatening to Tisha like Julian was to ShaMay. However, I did ask Tisha if she thought if Alex was capable of murdering her so that he could get 100% control of ShaMay, or if he was just being, you know how men can get, or I guess anybody really, you know, over possessive and that kind of crap, right? And she said no. And I tend to agree with her. So I'm trying to relax. But that doesn't come from Alex. That comes from what happened to ShaMay. Well, this is the kind of same situation, only it's compounded even more. I'm trying to explain this to you, right? Because of the numbers of people that are going missing in the United States of America, with our policing agencies and the public union sector in general just taking advantage of that whole situation and leaving us to sink or swim basically on our own. right? You know how many unsolved murders they have in the United States of America? Never mind how many people go missing that's unsolved. And everybody knows illegal organ harvesting is big business. Not to mention, we've got these devil worshippers out there that are eating people, right? And feeding off of them, okay? So a lot of what we're feeling is expected, right? Just like, would Alex do that to you? Right? I'm kind of wondering now. Right? Well, when somebody goes missing, it doesn't take much to get into panic mode. So this is where the young people have to respect the older people, their elders, and at least let them know. Because if, like I said, if Tisha and I got into a snit and she went away, there's only so many places she's gonna go, and it wouldn't take very long for me to fucking find her. Okay? And if her friends can't fucking find her before I go looking for her, trust me, they're gonna call me up and ask me where Tisha is. So Tisha's back is pretty well covered, but that doesn't mean she's safe, though, because we know that we've got stalkers in the community that are extremely fucking jealous of her for whatever freaking reason, and they took their obsessive-compulsive behavior, and they have now focused it on Tisha as to whatever happened to ShaMay went to Tisha's room next, and Tisha was next, okay? So this is kind of why I'm paying attention to this shit, but when it gets to this point,
I really tried.
Now, wait a minute. I was playing something.
I didn't know she was
didn't I say in my dream it was just voice? Wasn't really saying much?
I can't even believe
Right?
what she did. But let me tell you guys, I called. I'm from the DMV. I retired there. So I have people still there that I can call.
They ain't bruises. They ain't bruises. They
And
passion marks. You know what they are.
he couldn't find anybody that knew anything about her. Clearly what she did was she went to the police department but never made a police report. Or she showed herself going in, maybe talking to somebody, but she didn't make a police report. And once had the police known that there was a ransom,
I don't want to say I think these women think it's a fucking game, but I don't know what's going to come out of this, people.
The FBI, the police would have done it.
Well, what's gonna come out of this? What do you think?
I called some of my friends in the city. And they said the police department had found the house and the burnt up.
So she was getting dick down all weekend. What you mean? You know what she was getting. The fuck out of here. She grown. Without, you know how much dick I was getting at
If I took it to this level with Tisha and the things that we fight on about and all this shit, I don't know.
Keep doing that. They find out what story it was for whatever reason.
She'd be very mad at me. I mean, I got that. What is it? How does Tiffany Draper say it? Oh, what is that called? Juicy something? I got some juicy shit too, right? But, you know, I mean, it's not my place to talk about. Or, it's right? Everybody lives their own lives. Right? You know, when you hear things sometimes as parents, it has to go in one ear and out the other ear, because when you look back into your history as a young person and some of the things that you did, you know, I mean, like, it's not a race, right? You know, I mean, that's just part of being human and growing up. And, but at the end of the day, like I said, if Tisha was to go missing in action for any reason, for any length of time, I'd be getting phone calls ringing, and if they're not ringing on the phone, they're coming to my house looking for her, okay? So you know, 2 days, if nobody heard from Tisha within 2 days, everybody would be off the hook, right? And I worry about Tisha all the time, people, because of this ongoing gang stalking centered around my family. It started with ShaMay. She didn't know it. It started because of fucking Freddie. I don't even think Freddie was the excuse. I think the attack was on my girls, and this is girls stalking girls, okay? I think this young woman in the States may have a little bit of that issue too. And because she doesn't have somebody that she can talk to with about that per se, you know, her mom and her are in conflict, right? That parent-teen conflict stuff, right? I mean, grandma's obviously a little religious, wants to read her Bible all the time. Not something that the young girl wants to do because, you know, she's helping grandma and she needs her free time. But there's really no safe place for her to go. Hold on a minute. That's probably Tisha. God, I gotta top off my hydro bill. I forget. Right? Because I'm so busy with other things. Look what happens. Do you see? And bills just pile up. And it's not bills, but just old bills. I need to put them away and everything get all mixed up. And I get tired, right? And I just get lazy. Last month I didn't pay my bills until like the 3rd. And I do it all at one time. Boom, 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 boom. So some are due like now. But I'm working, doing that. I just get tired. So yeah, anyway, you know, I don't know what to say, people. I can't get caught up with this kind of stuff too much because I don't know how to separate it.
Because I've been praying. I didn't call the prayer warrior.
How do you choose?
Now, so that's why I say,
And I just sometimes I got to be that baby girl was trying to take me. The baby girl was never lost.
nobody
would have ever asked
and just let God work
so much family never lost.
in your behalf. So all I should have done was just put my prayer out there and moved on. But I worried this whole freaking, I didn't lost the whole day.
Things like that, and people all just come together, volunteer, family, friends, and you just beat the street and beat the street, and you do what you gotta do.
I pray that now people can take a sigh of breath and can really carry on and have just the peace of knowing your biggest fear was not realized.
And now I'm going to end it on this note. There is a big difference, okay, between raising small children and then them coming into age, which is usually between 12 and 15. That's when that parent-teen conflict starts to kick in. And it's, it's an effort. Not all the time. Especially when you've got a lot of bad things happening around you consecutively every couple of years just to keep it on the front burner, because that's how manufactured poverty works, right? To keep that open communication with your kids, right? Where they, where you don't lose them, people, right? If drugs are introduced to them at a very early age, like Ciera, through the school system and local kids in the neighborhood with those raunchy-ass mothers that weren't letting my daughter out of their house as they were feeding her methamphetamine so that she could go out and rob other people in the community and turn her into a lifelong, basically, drug addict, right? And then the social worker came along and reinforced that situation by throwing her out into the streets in the middle of fucking winter, when in fact she wasn't even doing anything wrong. The social worker was the one that was on the power trip, but it served its purpose. It kept her out on the streets for 8 more years. It kept her addicted to drugs for 8 more years. It kept her to be abused by community service workers for 8 more years. I'm pretty sure vampires were bleeding her dry, because there was times she'd come and say, "Oh, I needed blood transfusions because I had no blood left." Like, where the fuck was all the blood going? Now that I'm thinking about it after all this time, and especially what happened to her supposedly on the day she died, I am convinced that there are bloodsuckers out here doing what they do. So, these people, they're not wrong for being worried, because if our cops were doing their jobs, we wouldn't have these thoughts. Okay? These situations wouldn't come up. But then on the other hand, the young people themselves, have to take some responsibility, and ultimately, at the end of the day, that young person should have let somebody know where she was, and if she couldn't face her grandma to let her know, and she couldn't face her mom to let her know, she should have had one of her friends call home, wherever that may be, and let her family know that she was safe. And then they could have relaxed, and she would have came home. And if she really wants to get her own place, she's working, she can find a roommate, she can do that, right? But you see, this is where young people start to feel obligated and get resentful against, like, you know, grandma has nobody. If I leave, who's going to look after grandma? So, you know, it becomes a conflict. It's like Tisha. If I leave home, get my own house, mom is aging with the kids, no sisters around to help. Of course, Uncle Marcane's around, but that's a different kind of help, because he works, and we know, right? He works hard, right? So it's not like, right? I mean, if I need to move him at some point, I'm sure that will happen. If there's no other alternative other than to ask my son, because my son is big. He can pick up Amari for a very long time. It's the commitment around that, the daily commitment around that, that is frustrating for everybody. While this young girl could be feeling the same way. Grandma's getting older. There's no one here to look after grandma. I kind of want to get on my own, do my own thing, but you know, there's a part of me that's got to stay and look after grandma. So she has the conflict, and of course, things can blow up. But this stuff, I don't think this is going to help.
Because it's a lesson in it all. Later on, I'm upset that this shit happened the way it did, because I was going to help the girl again.
And you're right. And you know, Silky Black, sometimes you end up having to forgive people that didn't even
And the thing is, these women, they don't even watch my channel. Okay? I'm subscribed to them, but they're not subscribed to me. And at the rate things are going, just for my own peace of mind and sanity, I should disconnect from all of them, right? And just unsubscribe. Don't get caught up in the drama, right? They don't care about ShaMay. Well, I wouldn't say they don't care about ShaMay, but she's, you know, ShaMay is insignificant in their lives because, one, we're two different countries. Why should they care about ShaMay? Right? They've got their own issues with their own young people disappearing. So before they'd care about ShaMay and what happened to ShaMay, you know, they'd care about their own first, right? That's standard behavior for human beings. But I don't see how, like, how long is it going to take for this to resolve itself, if it ever does? If it ever does. Right? It's like a distraction. Predictive programming. Right? But I can't worry about it. Let them work it out between themselves. Isn't that what I said before? Right? I've got my own problems to worry about. I've got my own daughter to protect. Right? And that's the thing. When they're little, it's different than when they get bigger. Because when they get bigger, then others around them want to hurt them and influence them with things that hurt them, that ultimately sets the stage where they can be controlled like Ciera, or manipulated until they're dead like ShaMay. These individuals haven't gotten to that point yet. Right? They haven't lost a loved one to murder. And some of these women are so far away from it because their children are young yet. They got another 15, 20 years to find the end result of how maybe one of their kids might be preyed upon. And I don't got 20 years to wait, people. I really don't. All right. I don't know. I'm going to upload this. All right, we'll turn this on and listen for a bit more.
I don't think that
See,
you
see,
That's all I came up here to say,
I
and
think
to,
that you would
put
give
my
your opinion,
perspective
whether
in.
it's good or
But I'm
bad or
hurt
indifferent,
about it.
and I
I
think
am.
that you would leave it alone.
I feel you though.
Versus someone may be
But
in a
even
relationship or
what
may
I'm
go back
hearing
and
you
listen
say
to
is just stay humble.
and listen to
If
this
you're
live
right, that's
or
somebody
whatever the case may
lying.
be,
If you're wrong,
and then
that's
try to
somebody
start some
lying.
trouble.
Regardless of
So
what
what
it is
we
with
agreed,
you
and this
just
is not
stay
just
humble.
They're
as
all
a
online.
person,
And this is just 3 of them.
I was able to
Okay?
resolve
and always be willing
I'm
to
sure
listen
there's
to
more.
regardless,
three
because
issues.
that's really
With
what
at
we
least
Like,
two
I'm
of
sure
them.
there's more.
We really weren't told to judge.
Right?
We really
both
weren't told to
that
point
before
fingers.
we
We really
live
weren't
on a
just told to
rampage,
love even
that we
our
would
enemies. And it's hard.
call and
And
talk to that
I can
person
admit
first
that. As much
before
stuff
us
as these
coming
people
out
have
and
done to
saying,
me,
Live.
it's hard to
I can't believe
say
that,
I
this, do
love
that.
them.
You know,
But I
grown
do.
woman
Like, I
shit.
don't want nothing bad to happen
But
to
you tell
And
God
I
that
promise you, I
Live.
you just put it
wholeheartedly
just like that to God.
respect that.
Because sometimes love don't mean money.
I truly
It could just
100%
be putting
understand
prayer
because
up
I'm about
there.
growth.
That's
And I
it.
feel
You
like
walk away from
God
it.
is letting me know
That's
that
it.
I have to make sure that
and then you
before I
did
move
your
forward
part.
to the next level, I got to make sure that these
Thank you,
relationships
Silky Black. I
are,
love you and I appreciate
I'm not going to say
you.
dissolve
Okay,
because these
thank y'all.
people,
I'll see y'all
I
in
don't think
chat.
people should be dissolved,
All right,
but
babe.
should be resolved. And we going to either
Blutify.
agree to disagree and move forward. If we decide to stay around
You
and
want to
still
say any
promote and
last words
still,
before we
or
get
at
out of
least
here?
just be there offline versus online.
I just want to thank everybody for the
Listen, just know that a bunch of mature
well
shit took
wishes and
place
the
this
shout outs
weekend
in the chat.
outside of this shit. A
for,
bunch of
I guess, me
mature
telling
shit took place.
a little bit of
And
my
listen,
story
when
that
I'm
I had.
wrong,
And thank
I
you.
don't have no
And
problems with stating
don't
that
be
I'm
like me. Don't internalize.
I had a homegirl.
A lot of stuff everybody
I've
else
known
do.
her
Like
just
that's
as
just
long as
me.
I've known my son, my
I don't know
oldest
what you
son.
call it.
20
Everybody
years,
call it like
18 years.
empaths
I
and
met
all the
this
rest of
woman.
that. But I don't
And
know
I
what
consider
it
her
is.
an
But
excellent friend of mine. If
when
I
it
needed
comes
her
to
for
certain
something, and I would
subjects,
Okay. I'm just going to focus on what I need to focus on out here, people. Peace out.